Hey everybody, this is Vince Miller. Thank you so much for joining me for our devotional. Today we're in Acts chapter 18. I'm going to be reading verses 1 through 4. Here's how it reads. It says, after this, Paul left Athens and went to Corinth, and he found a Jew named Aquila, a native of Pontus, recently come from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because Claudius had commanded all the Jews to leave Rome. And he went to see them, and because he was of the same trade, he stayed with them and worked, for they were tent makers by trade. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and tried to persuade Jews and Greeks. So Athens, where Paul had just departed, was the center of education in his time. But Corinth, just 50 miles to the east, was a major metropolis. Corinth rivaled Athens in wealth, yet it had about 4 times the population. As you are going to see on the map today in the video, Corinth was situated to the north along an isthmus or portage. The city to the south along this isthmus is the city of Cenchreae, and the piece of land between them was about 3 miles in length, and ships would deport people and cargo at one end and transport them all the way to the other, which was safer and saved a lot of time rather than traveling all the way around. And thus, Corinth was a popular stop for sailors, which meant Corinth was full of debauchery, including Greek temples that boasted of temple prostitution. So you can think of Corinth like you might think of maybe like Las Vegas in the west or Lebanon in the east. And it was an important city to the Roman Empire, so important that Nero had plans to build a canal during his time, which, by the way, was only completed in 1893. And the pictures on the video today will give you a feel for how deep and massive this canal is today. But one item to note here is that Paul worked. He had a job, fellas, so get a job. It says here that he was a tent maker, which inferred that he worked with leather. Now, some of us know that Paul could have requested financial support from the church during his stay in Corinth, but he doesn't go this route. And there are a lot of reasons why he might not have done this. Here too. First, Paul ended up staying in Corinth for about 18 months. Now, this is far longer than he stayed and ministered in any of the other locations to this point. So to some degree, we assume that he didn't want to be a financial burden to the new church, nor infringe on his rights and thus be misinterpreted. Second, Paul demonstrates his willingness to be a part of the culture by working without becoming like the culture to influence the culture. And over time, this is going to earn him some street credibility with the church and the community and even patrons he meets. So today, just like Paul, I want you to consider how God has called you to be a minister of the gospel. Yes, at times ministry happens within the church, but we're also called to be a minister within the culture as we work. We are called to minister in both locations, just like Paul did here, not doing one to the exclusion of the other. We need followers, by the way, who are willing to be a minister to the culture through daily work. And fellas, how we provide services and products to this world speaks volumes about how we live and what we believe. So today, as you go to work, remember this. Do it all for the glory of God, which, by the way, is exactly what Paul says later to the church in Corinth in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31. He says, so whatever you eat or drink, or whatever you do all for the glory of God. Thanks for being with me this morning, fellas. I hope you had a great time. If you did, share it with someone you know, like it, subscribe to it, and I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.